Let's start simple. Tariffs might sound complicated, but at their core, they're actually pretty straightforward. Imagine you're buying a brand new phone from another country for £500. It's exciting to get the latest tech, but there's a catch. When your phone arrives in the UK, the government steps in and adds a special tax called a tariff. Suddenly your phone costs £550 instead of £500. That extra £50 doesn't go to the phone company or the seller overseas, it goes straight to the government's pocket. In essence, a tariff is just a tax placed on goods that are brought into a country from abroad. It's one of the oldest tools in the government's economic toolbox. Governments use tariffs to influence what we buy and how much we pay, shaping the choices available to consumers and businesses alike. By making foreign goods more expensive, tariffs can nudge shoppers and businesses toward local products, supporting domestic industries and jobs. Tariffs have been around for centuries, acting as gatekeepers for a country's economy and shaping the flow of goods across borders. But tariffs are rarely straightforward. They're often tied up in politics, international negotiations, and economic strategy. The main idea is simple: make imports less attractive so local products look better by comparison, giving homegrown businesses a fighting chance. For example, a 10% tariff on foreign cars makes them pricier, pushing buyers to consider domestic options, which can boost local manufacturing. This can shape entire industries: what gets made, where, and by whom. Tariffs can protect jobs, but they can also raise prices for everyone. Tariffs aren't just abstract policy, they affect our daily lives in ways we might not even notice at first. They influence the price of food, clothes, and tech. Almost everything we buy has been touched by tariffs in some way. Sometimes they can even determine whether a local factory stays open or shuts its doors, impacting entire communities. In a world where nearly everything crosses borders, tariffs matter more than ever, shaping the global marketplace. They're a key piece in the complex puzzle of global trade, affecting relationships between countries and the flow of goods worldwide. And right now that puzzle is being shaken up by trade wars, new agreements, and shifting alliances. Understanding tariffs helps us see how global decisions hit close to home, affecting our wallets and our choices. So, what happens when tariffs change the price of your weekly shop? The answer can reveal a lot about how the world's economies are connected, and how those connections shape our everyday lives. Think about your weekly shop. Every time you walk down the aisles, filling your basket with essentials and treats, you're making choices shaped by more than just taste or habit. You won't see a tariff-included label on the shelf, but you'll definitely feel its effect at the till. Tariffs are hidden in the prices you pay, quietly influencing your spending. For example, if the UK puts a tariff on South American bananas, the importer pays the tax first. That cost gets passed to the supermarket, and in the end, you pay more at checkout for the same bunch of bananas. Tariffs act like hidden fees, quietly raising prices at every step along the supply chain, from the port to your shopping basket. This price hike changes your behavior. Maybe you swap expensive bananas for British apples, or look for deals on other fruits. Over time, these small choices add up. That's the tariff's goal, to encourage you to buy local, supporting British farmers and producers instead of relying on imports. The same logic applies to everything from French cheese to Chinese electronics. Tariffs can shift your choices across the whole store, not just the produce aisle. A tariff on imported steel, for example, can push a construction company to buy British steel, aiming to boost local industry and jobs. But sometimes there's no local alternative, like coffee beans. The UK doesn't grow coffee, so tariffs just make your morning cup pricier. If tariffs hit coffee imports, prices simply rise and everyone pays more, cafes, offices, and households alike. There's no way around it. This can fuel inflation, shrinking your purchasing power. Suddenly, your money doesn't stretch as far, and you notice it in your weekly bills. For small businesses, higher costs mean tough choices: raise prices and risk losing customers, or accept lower profits and struggle to stay afloat. Tariffs create winners and losers, sometimes protecting local jobs and industries, but often raising costs for everyone else, from factory workers to families at home. The impact isn't just in the headlines, it's in your household budget, your shopping list, and the choices you make every day. Tariffs can make everyday life more expensive, from breakfast to bedtime, affecting the cost of basics and little luxuries alike. They ripple through the economy, touching everyone: shoppers, shop owners, and even those who never set foot in a supermarket. Next, let's see why governments use tariffs in the first place. Is it just about raising money, or are there bigger reasons behind these policies? Understanding tariffs means looking beyond the price tag, because there's always more to the story than meets the eye. Governments use tariffs for three main reasons: protection, revenue, and negotiation. First, protection, shielding local industries from foreign competition. For example, a tariff on imported electric cars gives a new British car maker a chance to grow. Second, revenue, tariffs are taxes, and for some countries they're a key source of government income. Third, negotiation, tariffs can be bargaining chips in international disputes. But each reason has risks. Protection can breed inefficiency. Revenue raising can make life more expensive for citizens. Negotiation can spark trade wars, with both sides piling on tariffs and hurting their own economies. Tariffs can protect, earn money, and negotiate. But they can also backfire. That's why they're called a triple-edged sword. Let's look at real-world examples to see these effects in action. Consider two examples: bananas and cars. The EU charges low tariffs on bananas from former colonies but higher ones on Latin American bananas. The goal is to help smaller economies, but European shoppers pay more. Latin American countries call this unfair protectionism, and the dispute has dragged on for years. Now look at electric cars. In 2025, the US slapped high tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles to protect American car makers. This makes Chinese EVs pricier, giving us brands an edge. The upside: more American jobs and investment in local industry. The downside: higher prices and fewer choices for US consumers. It could even slow the shift to cleaner cars. China may retaliate with tariffs on US goods, escalating the conflict. A tariff meant to protect one sector can end up hurting others. Trade disputes can quickly spiral, affecting jobs and prices everywhere. So, who else is shaking up global trade? Enter BRICS, a powerful bloc of emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE. These nations, each with their own unique strengths and histories, are coming together to form a coalition that is rapidly gaining global attention. BRICS isn't a military alliance or an EU-style union, but a strategic partnership designed to boost their influence and counterbalance the dominance of the West in world affairs. Together, they represent nearly half the world's population and a growing share of the global economy, making their collective voice impossible to ignore. China is the world's factory, producing goods at an unprecedented scale. India leads in services and technology, while Brazil is a powerhouse in agriculture, and Russia and the Middle East are vital players in global energy markets, supplying oil and gas to countries around the world. BRICS aims to trade more in their own currencies, challenging the long-standing dominance of the US dollar and seeking greater financial independence. They've even set up their own development bank as an alternative to the World Bank, funding infrastructure and development projects across member nations. By working together, BRICS is reshaping global trade, creating new opportunities, and pushing for a more multipolar world where power is more evenly distributed. Their combined economic power means the world has to listen, as their decisions increasingly influence international markets and policies. As BRICS grows, so does its impact on global supply chains, trade rules, and the way business is done across continents. This new force is changing the game for everyone, including the US, ushering in a new era of competition, cooperation, and global transformation. In 2025, the US-BRICS trade battle has escalated. The US imposed steep tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, steel, and green tech from BRICS countries. The official reason: protect American jobs and reduce reliance on foreign supply chains. BRICS hit back with their own tariffs. China targeted US farm exports, others raised duties on American goods. This tit-for-tat is classic trade war. Each side raises barriers, hoping the other will blink. The result? Disrupted supply chains, uncertainty for global businesses, and higher costs for everyone. Companies like Apple, which rely on global parts and assembly, are caught in the crossfire. The expansion of BRICS has made the bloc more confident in challenging US policies. This standoff is shaking the foundations of global trade. The world is watching and feeling the impact. Trade wars between giants like the US and BRICS ripple across the globe. Even countries not directly involved can get caught in the middle, especially if they supply parts to affected industries. For families, the most immediate effect is higher prices on everyday goods. Tariffs on materials like steel and aluminum make everything from cars to canned food more expensive. Inflation eats into savings and paychecks. Businesses with global supply chains face rising costs and tough decisions: reroute suppliers, raise prices, or cut jobs. Some may even shut down, causing job losses far from the original dispute. Less trade means less economic activity and slower growth. Uncertainty makes companies hesitant to invest or hire. the interconnected global economy starts to unravel. In a trade war, no country is truly an island. Everyone feels the waves. Rising tariffs and trade tensions mark a shift away from decades of globalization. The world is fragmenting into competing blocks, building economic walls. Understanding tariffs is now essential for everyone, not just economists. The choices made today will shape jobs, prices, and international cooperation for years to come. If protectionism continues, we could see slower growth and higher prices. But there's another path: negotiation, compromise, and reforming global trade rules. Building bridges instead of walls could restore stability and prosperity. The future of trade is being written now. Knowing how tariffs work empowers us to ask tough questions and engage in the debate. In a world of walls and bridges, understanding tariffs is the first step to navigating what comes next.